So, where are we? Hi, Zizaran here, and GGG just dropped this like really long frequently asked questions. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't want to read it, and some others will just want my reactions on it. So I made like a quick TLDR. Even the TLDR is pretty long, but I picked out what I thought was the most important stuff, and we're gonna cover that here. When it comes to the Maven and her challenges and progression towards her, you can witness a boss while you're in a party. So like to actually like put it in the boss kill challenge pool where you're like progressing your Atlas and your Atlas skill tree. But when you're actually fighting the bosses, so like in groups of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10, if you do this with multiple people, then the rewards, for example, the Atlas skill points, they are not shared. And to witness a map, you do that before you put it in. So the bosses are scaled depending on whether it's 3, 4, 5, and 6, or 10. It's not scaled whether you get, for example, Kitava from a tier 16 map, or whether you're getting like the port boss from a tier 5 or whatever. I mean, they're probably an Atlas shuffle as well, but they are scaled depending on how many bosses are in the fight. In the later ones, you will still be locked. Like, it'll say that you will have to do like tier 14 or a tier 16 map, which will probably limit what bosses you're able to fight quite a bit in the harder ones as well. Cannot have duplicates, and if you like, that also means that if you do a twinned map, it'll only take one of them. And doing the witnessing act itself is going to make the fight harder. We don't know how. Maybe it'll be similar to like the divine fragment thing you do for upgrading your pantheon, where it just adds a little bit of attack speed and cast speed, and it might be like, okay, well, if you do it on a white map, it's really easy, but we don't know how much harder it makes it. And you cannot witness unique bosses. So, for example, Maokan, etc., you cannot witness that. Another thing that's important, there are some like abilities from bosses that would be decimating in this like disc-shaped area. Like, for example, the Rigwald Wolf Incinerate. That is going to be scaled and made different for this arena. So they've thought of that. And you can do the Shaper and Elder Guardians as bosses that you can witness. For softcore players, there are 6 portals, so if you die, you can like still continue doing it. It's not like a medium core mechanic like Heist, where you lose everything when you die. Atlas passive's up next, and each region is going to be fixed with what skill tree or whatever you want to call it that the map region has. So like Glenec Cairns is not going to be different from you and me, and you can't change it. What the like things you can select from is. They said it was easy to unlock like one full region, but doing like everything to full was going to be around the same speed as like Awakener 8. And we still spawn normal map mechanics like before, so like breach portals will still appear naturally even without specializing into it. And we still have the Zana map device as well. So let's move on to endgame rewards. The watchstones are going to be region specific, so that means that like one will say specifically like it'll be the red one for Glenec Cairns, or you know, at least just one for Glenec Cairns. Obviously they're like ivory, so it'll probably go into each slot actually. But like you can't put a Glenec Cairns one into Valdos Rest. And they are tradable. Can be. I'm a little bit worried it's gonna be annoying. Maybe people like giving you a Lex Proxima stone when you want a Lex Eoris. I don't know. Might be annoying. The rollable watchstones you can stack and like have the same stat. So yeah, you can have them stack in power, which is pretty important. And they contribute to the Awakener level as normal. So this might make it a little bit easier to finish off your last level of Awakener 8. Especially if you, something I think this will be really good for. Sometimes you might have fucked up and killed Baran in a region you've already killed him. Maybe you fucked up on your 30th or 32nd watchstone. So this will be a really good way to like plug that up sometimes without having to like wait an entire extra Awakener for that 8 kill that can obviously drop better loot. So there's a lot of interesting stuff about the Maven Orb. It can only be used on body armor, helmet, gloves, or boots. And so that means it cannot be used on rings, cannot be used on an amulet, a belt, weapon, or shield. My prediction for this is that it's going to be very focused around like socketed gems and stuff. The one they showed off so far was socketed int gems. Get +1 level. I think we're also going to see a lot of things like socketed gems are supported by +1 of like something, or we'll also have things like socketed gems are supported by hypothermia, LA focus, conk effect, etc. So I think there will be a lot of that, and a lot of them will be very, very interesting to see what they switch into. The way it works is that tier 3 mods will be upgraded just to tier 2 to tier 1, but if it selects one of the tier 1 mods, then that will be upgraded to a new tier that we haven't seen before, which is very, very cool. I would then obviously say you should only use this when something you have at least 2 tier 1 mods on. Maybe like most outcomes will be good. We don't know yet. And you can actually Awakener Orb and transfer these elevated mods. That means that you could have a starting base, basically. If you have one good elevated mod on one item and one other good one on another, so with 2 Maven Orbs and 1 Awaken Orb, you can make like a really, really strong base there. So very, very cool that that actually works, and it's going to be similar in rarity to the Awaken Orb. Ritual, pretty interesting, and it says here that the instance owner gets to choose the rewards. I don't know how well it's going to scale in a party, like if the rewards are going to be a lot better, whether you have 2, 4, 5, 6 people. I would predict this is probably a league that's going to be better solo. And Chris also said, like, you know, if you are running in a group, make sure that the group is good at sharing, or that you alternate who's running the map. Other interesting things, you can defer more than one ritual item. Deferring is just making it later, kind of like mortgaging it and paying it off over time in installments. You can defer an item more than once. If you defer an item once or twice, and then maybe you accidentally forget it, or maybe it was something else really important that you needed to buy then, maybe you had exactly enough for a headhunter, but you've already deferred a shavs twice, that item, that shavs, it says it will not immediately be lost, because it will it'll be there in the next one and start recovering some of its original cost. And if you allow it to get all the way back to its starting value, it will completely disappear. And a really, really good thing is that we do not need to pull monsters to the ritual sites. It doesn't like affect anything. It's just kill the ones that are already there, and they get progressively harder as you complete rituals. So the first one is going to be a lot easier than the last one in a map. A thing I'm very, very excited about is that some of the ritual reward is going to be that they're continuing experimentation of smart loot from heist. What that means is that Heist also had smart loot in the Grand Heists, where you would see items inside the glass things that would be like, maybe some of them would be really strong, but at least like the stats would make more sense together. Amulets with like life and triple resists, etc. So I'm very, very excited that they are continuing with smart loot. It's also important to note that none of the new rewards from Ritual are drop. All of them are only things you have to choose and purchase them for tribute. None of them can drop from the even ritual monsters while you're killing them. After you've finished completing a ritual, you can capture the monsters that were in that ritual using a vessel. You can then put that on the next map that you're doing to make that harder, but you can't like stack capture. So you can't capture one, capture those two, capture the next 4, etc. So basically you cannot capture if you use the vial to already make that map harder. Ascendancy, the most exciting thing here for me is the Battle Mage does interact with Spellslinger, that they're added together. We're not 100% sure about how Battle Mage will be. Hopefully it's just pretty much Spellslinger, but for other things. But it could also be with more, that everything is just recalculated into percentage damage. Either way, it's going to be very, very interesting. So, Harvest is only in maps, and Oshabi is now a random spawn. The way it works is that the gardens spawn in pairs, and you can get multiple pairs. And when you choose one of the gardens that's in a pair, the other will wither. There are some like upgrades you can do to give it a percentage chance to not wither, so that you would get both pairs. For Heist, it was very, very popular to like split blueprints or use fracturing fossils, etc. You can no longer do this in the same way as before, because now when you do a split or a fracture, all of the wings are unrevealed, and you'd have to re-reveal them each time. So if you do find one that's super valuable, it doesn't mean that you can just like farm it over and over again like before. It would have like an actual big cost to it now of several thousand coins. So that method has been nerfed significantly. There are some other things in here as well, and feel free to read through it at your own time. I just wanted to make like a TLDR of the things that I thought was the most important. And as soon as we get patch notes and everything, I will be putting out league starters. If you're new to the game, make sure you check out the Path of Exile University. And other than that, sub if you like the content. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I hope you all have an amazing launch day of 3.13. Thanks so much for watching, and try to die less than I do.